Hello, everyone, and welcome to English. I look forward to reading our second passage from our text analysis response samples called The Edge of the Sea. Will everyone at this time please open to page 1? I'd like to read the actual official Regents exam directions for the Part 3 text analysis response. Please follow along with me as I read the directions to you. Your task. Closely read the text provided on pages 22 and 23 and write a well-developed text-based response of 2 to 3 paragraphs. In your response, we have underlined, identify a central idea in the text and analyze how the author's use of one writing strategy. We have circled literary element in those directions, crossed out literary technique or rhetorical device, develops a central idea. That sentence is the purpose of the entire essay, to identify a central idea, you know how to do that, and analyze how the author's use of one of our literary elements develops that central idea. Going back to the text. Use strong and thorough evidence from the text to support your analysis. Do not simply summarize the text. You may use the margins to take notes as you read and scrap paper to plan your response. Write your response in the spaces provided on pages 7 through 9 of your essay booklet. Oh, Marianne, you just coming in? You just coming in? Okay. Guidelines. Be sure to identify a central idea in the text, analyze how the author's use of one writing strategy, circled literary element, develops the central idea. Examples include characterization, conflict, denotation and connotation, metaphor, simile, irony, language use, point of view, setting, structure, symbolism, theme, tone, etc. Use strong and thorough evidence from the text to support your analysis. Organize your ideas in a cohesive and coherent manner. Maintain a formal style of writing and follow the conventions of standard written English. So those are the directions, the official Regents directions. Let's flip past text 1, objects of affection, and find text 2, the edge of the sea. Now, the good thing about the Part 3 passages is they're always short. I've never seen one more than 2 pages long, and there was something else. Oh, they're always a fiction text. Always a fiction text. As we read text 2, the edge of the sea, we're going to move away from our highlighters because we won't really have those on the Regents exam, and we're going to practice our underlining just with our pen or pencil that we'll have for the exam, and we'll have to come up with a central idea. Remember, not a summary, a central idea. A central idea is the life lesson or the message or the learning lesson from The Edge of the Sea by Rachel Carson. Let's begin. The edge of the sea is a strange and beautiful place. All through the long history of Earth, it has been an area of unrest, where waves have broken heavily against the land, where the tides have pressed forward over the continents, receded, and then returned. For no two successive days is the shoreline precisely the same. Not only do the tides advance and retreat in their eternal rhythms, but the level of the sea itself is never at rest. It rises or falls as the glaciers melt or grow, as the floor of the deep ocean basins shift under its increasing load of sediments, or as the Earth's crust along the continental margins warps up or down in adjustment to strain the tension. Today, a little more land may belong to the sea. Tomorrow, a little less. Always, the edge of the sea remains an elusive and indefinable boundary, always, always changing. The shore has a dual nature or a double nature, changing with the swing of the tides, belonging now to the land, now to the sea. On the ebb tide, it knows the harsh extremes of the land world, being exposed to heat and cold, to wind and rain and drying sun. On the flood tide, it is a water world, returning briefly to the relative stability of the open sea. Only the most hardy and adaptable can survive in a region so mutable. Yet the area between the tide lines is crowded with plants and animals. In this difficult world of the shore, life displays its enormous toughness and vitality by occupying almost every conceivable niche. Visibly, it carpets the intertidal rocks, or half hidden. It descends into fissures and crevices, or hides under boulders, or lurks in the wet gloom of sea caves. Invisibly, where the casual observer would say there is no life, it lies deep in the sand. It burrows in burrows and tubes and passageways. It tunnels into solid rock and bores into peat and clay. It, meaning life, it is life here. It encrusts weeds or drifting spars or the hard chitinous shell of a lobster. It exists minutely as the film of bacteria that spreads over a rock surface or a wharf piling, as spears of protozoa small as pinpricks sparkling at the surface of the sea, and as Lilliputian or tiny beings swimming through dark pools that lie between the grains of sand. That was a great paragraph for imagery. I could really visualize and imagine all of the life that is almost invisible all around the edge of the sea. The shore is an ancient world. For as long as there has been an earth and sea, there has been this place of the meeting of land and water. Yet it is a world that keeps alive the sense of continuing creation and the relentless drive of life. Each time that I enter it, I gain some new awareness of its beauty and its deeper meanings, sensing the intricate fabric of life by which one creature is linked with another and each with his surroundings. The flats took on a mysterious quality as dusk approached, and the last evening light was reflected from the scattered pools and creeks. Then birds became only dark shadows with no color discernible. Sanderlings scurried across the beach like little ghosts, and here and there the darker forms of the willets stood out. Often I could come very close to them before they would start up in alarm, the sanderlings running, the willets flying up, crying. Black skimmers flew along the ocean edge, silhouetted against the dull metallic gleam, or they went flitting above the sand like large, dimly seen moths. Sometimes they skimmed the winding creeks of tidal water, where little spreading surface ripples marked the presence of small fish. The shore at night is a different world in which the very darkness that hides the distractions of daylight brings into sharper focus the elemental realities. Once, exploring the night beach, I surprised a small ghost crab in the searching beam of my torch. He was lying in a pit he had dug just above the surf, as though watching the sea and waiting. The blackness of the night possessed water, air, and beach. It was the darkness of an older world before man. There was no sound but the all-enveloping primeval sounds of wind blowing over water and sand, and of waves crashing on the beach. There was no other visible life, just one small crab near the sea. I have seen hundreds of ghost crabs in other settings, but suddenly I was filled with the odd sensation that for the first time I knew the creature in its own world, that I understood as never before the essence of its being. In that moment, time was suspended. The world to which I belonged did not exist, and I might have been an onlooker from outer space. The little crab alone with the sea became a symbol that stood for life itself, for the delicate, destructible, yet incredibly vital force that somehow holds its place amid the harsh realities of the inorganic world. Looking out over the cove, I felt a strong sense of the interchangeability of land and sea in this marginal world of the shore, and of the links between the life of the two. There was also an awareness of the past and of the continuing flow of time, obliterating much that had gone before, as the sea had that morning washed away the tracks of the birds. There is a common thread that links these scenes and memories: the spectacle of life in all its varied manifestations as it had appeared, evolved, and sometimes died out. It's talking about like the circle of life, like from The Lion King. Underlying the beauty of the spectacle, there is meaning and significance. It is the elusiveness of that meaning that haunts us, that sends us again and again into the natural world where the key to the riddle is hidden. It sends us back to the edge of the sea, where the drama of life played its first scene on earth, and perhaps even its prelude, where the forces of evolution are at work today, as they have been since the appearance of what we know as life, and where the spectacle of living creatures faced by the cosmic realities of their world is crystal clear. By Rachel Carson, excerpted from The Edge of the Sea from 1955 from the Mifflin Company. That's like a book company, it's publisher. And you can look all the way to the bottom and see that this was from the Regents in August 2019. All right, guys, I want you to take a step back and think about the central idea of this passage. We're going to get ready to write our central idea right now. So let's come back together as a whole group. Thanks for paying attention.